is back with a dish that's sure to be a family hit. I'm looking at this bowl of glorious pasta that looks very different from your kind of tomato sauce sort of pasta. But this is quite a traditional dish, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, we call it, in the Turkish Cypriot dialect, kıymalı garavolli, which is basically one pot lamb mince and conchiglia pasta, which are the shells.
God, it looks incredible.
Oh, wow.
It's all about the separate elements. So you start by browning off onions, but take your time. I think sometimes when you think one pot, you think you've got to do it really quickly and get it done. But actually, it's things like taking your time to really sweat down and soften the onions.
Oh, my God.
And then we go in with some really simple spices. So I've got some paprika going in. And we add that now, rather than to the meat.
Just to cook it out? Does that help with the flavour?
Absolutely. Makes it more fragrant, you know, the flavours infuse into the onions as well. And it's the same with the tomato puree.
That is so good.
Yes, I love it when people say that when I cook and they enjoy it. Do you know what? And it's all about the different elements, because it is one pot. But there are things that we're going to add, like the garlic yoghurt and the pul biber butter. And then we've got pul biber, those Turkish pepper flakes that we've brought here before.
I ordered those. You can get them.
They are delicious. Yeah, they're mainstream.
Can I borrow some of yours?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you.
And then we're going in with some tomato puree as well. And again, adding that now rather than to the mince, because then that way you can mix it in a lot easier. So once you've softened that all down and you've added your spices, you go straight in with the lamb mince. And lamb traditionally, because in Cyprus we cook a lot with lamb and with chicken, more so than, you know, beef.
Yeah.
So I think with this dish, it's lovely. And again, lamb's quite fatty, so you get those lovely juicy flavours come out into the pasta, because the pasta does all cook in the same pot with the lamb and these lovely spices. From dry. So you add the pasta. Yes. From dry. And this is something my mum would make for us so much. It's actually a recipe based on a very traditional Turkish recipe called mantı, which are like homemade dumplings that you then stuff with a little bit like a, you know, tortellini or a ravioli that you stuff with some lamb mince and spices, and then you boil those up, you make the garlic yoghurt, you make this lovely pul biber butter, and you pour that all on top and all the flavours infused. But this is the cheats version, which is why I'm using the conchiglia, because it's almost like the shells trap the meat within them, so it's like without having to get your rolling pin out and make your dough and make those dumplings.
Is it controversial for me to say that you could do this with potatoes as well?
Absolutely. So again, you know, things like anything that you can kind of stew down with that lovely kind of starchy texture. Obviously, don't overcook the potatoes, otherwise you'll have mash and lamb. But absolutely, you could do that with some maybe more robust potatoes, like you know, new potatoes or Jersey Royals that are a little bit more waxy, although I'm partial to a Cyprus potato, of course. They're the best kinds of, you know, stewed potatoes to use. You could also make this with vegetarian mince, for example, and make it so you could leave out the lamb mince, use a veggie mince alternative, and it will be just as delicious. Normally, I would brown the mince off for a little bit longer than this, but obviously, for the purpose of this, I'm going to add it in right now. So the pasta just goes in, as so.
I can't believe you're doing that.
Oh, yes, believe it, Holly, believe it, because it will change your life, honestly.
Does it not just absorb all the liquid, though, that's in there? And then, because, I mean, this is not dry at all. I can't understand what it's cooking in.
We're going in with some stock, and that's another thing. We, as Cypriots, cook pasta in stock. So there's another lovely traditional Turkish Cypriot dish called makarna bulli, where you basically cook up chicken in water, create a lovely broth, a lovely stock, and then you cook the pasta in that stock. And there is so much more flavour to be had when you cook something in stock. You know that, right? If you make a soup or anything, if you just cook it in boiling water, it's boring.
You might as well put it in stock. This is your incredible book here, Simple Turkish Cypriot Comfort Food and Fresh Family Feast. And there is kind of different sections in here. You've sort of got, like, sharing food and breakfast things and different ways of eating, but all delicious.
Honestly, the book has been one of the most enjoyable things I have ever done. It's basically putting in my family history,
cheese
my
and halloumi toasty. Hello.
Oh, you found something you love.
Yep.
Oh, look at that, baby.
I know.
You know, it's using really traditional kind of Cypriot ingredients as well in modern ways to suit family lifestyles. I've just gone in with the stock and the bay leaves into the pasta, by the way.
These are the Baileys.
The Baileys. Well, I mean, that's a whole different recipe. That's like a Friday night recipe. So that's not for today.
But I like it.
I've popped that in there, and I'm just going to show you how to simply make this lovely garlic yoghurt. I mean, it's really not rocket science. It's like a just a really simple way to make this dish even more elevated. So I've gone in there, a little bit of salt, and then this Willoughby butter, and I'll add that all in. This lovely Willoughby butter here, which I've got, which is going in with some olive oil, some dried mint.
And so that pasta just cooks down in that stock as long as you'd cook normal pasta for?
Absolutely.
So what's that, about 8 or 12?
10 to 12.
Right.
You find that because it's cooking in the stock and it's not just, you know, you've got the mince in there as well, it does need a little bit more time. So make that lovely butter, which then they're going to spoon over. And obviously, in true style, we're going to have here's one I made earlier as well. That's cooking down. And you can see that just going in, and it's absolutely delicious.
That is so lovely.
So, as I said...
Can I just have a look at the contents of that frying pan?
Which one?
With the frying pan. What are the butter and the...
Absolutely. So in here, we've got this butter, olive oil, and we've got the red pepper paste, the Turkish sweet red pepper paste, known as Dr Biber salçası, some dried mint. Did I mention the pul biber?
Yeah.
And the pul biber, and that just goes over. So while this cooks down...
It's so good, isn't it?
It comes up like this. It doesn't look that exciting when it's like this. However,
it tastes incredible.
Then start to plate it up as so. So we're going to go in like this, and you can see how juicy that delicious lamb.
And then you just put the yoghurt over the top and the Willoughby butter over the top that we can see there.
And perhaps the most
What is this incredible cheese I've got here?
You have got hellim there, which is basically the Turkish word for halloumi cheese, which we mix with some dried mint. Once finely grated, no need to cook it. So that goes over there as well. This is what we grew up eating our pasta dishes with. It wasn't, you know, Parmigiano or anything like that.
This is amazing.
It is, on pasta, one of the most delicious things, especially when you've then got the garlic yoghurt, the Willoughby butter, which we're going to spoon over as well, straight onto there. In fact, let's not be shy about this. Let's just go straight over with some butter right there.
Why not? Meliz, thank you. That is delicious.
Absolute pleasure. Really I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, like a lot.
Oh, brilliant. My job here is done then. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Your job here is to cure.
For details of today's recipe and more delicious ideas from our chefs, download the free This Morning app.